Hello, hello. So, today we're going to talk about how you can make yourself more presentable as a director or VP. So, here's a quick gut check. You know, you could do the director or VP job, but when you look at your job search, the market seems to be responding as if you are one level below. And the companies that you actually want do not respond. Maybe recruiters contact you about smaller roles, or you get into the interview and struggle to communicate that you know you're capable. If that is happening, this live is for you because I do not think the deepest fear is simply what if my job search takes longer than I want. The deep fear is what if the market does not see me at the level I know I can operate and I have to start over, step backwards, or spend another 2 years proving myself all over again? So, today I am going to show you 5 reasons that happens and how to identify where your level is being lost in translation. So, stay with me until the end because I'm going to give you a simple test that you can use on your resume, LinkedIn profile, and interview stories to determine whether they actually sound senior enough for the role that you want. Okay, so who am I to share this with you? My name is Nada Bohendi, and I have helped more than 1,000 professionals navigate career transitions. In fact, I've been doing this for over 6 years. It's going to be 7 years in April for me. And the types of people that I've helped include senior individual contributors, directors, and VPs from companies such as Apple, Meta, Amazon, Google, all kinds of organizations ranging from startups to mid-sized organizations to massive organizations in almost every continent. Okay. I have helped people move from senior individual contributor to director, director to VP, and VP to C-level. And before building this business, I spent more than 15 years leading complex $1 billion plus enterprise transformation work. And so, what I'm teaching you is not just based on helping over 1,000 people, it's based on my own experience. And here's what I noticed: there is one pattern that keeps showing up. Many senior leaders do not have an experience problem, they have a level recognition problem. Hi from London, UK. So nice to see you. Yeah, please pop in, say hi. I really love, knowing who's actually watching. Okay, so I want to talk about 3 different things that cause this. One, the level at which you can operate. Actually, there are 3 different things. One, the level at which you can operate, the evidence you can give the market, and then the level the market assigns to you based on that evidence. So those 3 things are not automatically equal, okay? The market cannot sit beside you for 6 months and watch you navigate ambiguity, influence executives, recover a failing initiative, or make a difficult product trade-off. They don't know that about you because they haven't watched you operate. And that is the problem. Recruiters, when they come on your LinkedIn, all they see is a title, a headline, a few resume bullets, and a 30 to 60-minute conversation. So when you're sharing evidence of what you've done that is vague, overly tactical, or scattered across several possible professional identities, they make assumptions about you that are not true. And so that is the problem, is that hiring managers and recruiters are not able to understand the level that you're operating at. This isn't about pretending to be more senior than you are. It is about making the seniority that you have more obvious and not dependent on your title, because your title might be a director and you may be operating at the VP level. Your title may be senior individual contributor, but you may be operating at the director level. And so you should not let the title become the evidence of what you've done. Okay? So let me get into the 5 reasons that the market may be perceiving you as too junior or under leveling you. Reason number 1, you are marketing several possible careers at once. Here's the thing. Senior leaders, especially if you are at the director level or VP level, you have a lot of breadth. And you often think that breadth makes you more marketable. So you say, I could lead product, I could do product operations, I could lead an AI function, I could go into program management, maybe strategy, maybe a chief of staff role. Listen, I know that you're capable of wearing multiple hats, but when all of it appears in the same message, the market does not see you as versatile. They see you as uncertain because you're not able to own one thing. They see you as someone who doesn't know what they want. One senior leader that I spoke with was considering 4 different paths while her LinkedIn was attracting junior QA and automation roles. She was spending hours building more proof, but the market still couldn't tell what senior leadership problem she wanted to own. And so the first question is not what are all the jobs I could technically do? It is what is the strongest next level leadership role my experience supports right now? So your positioning needs a decision before it needs better wording. Here's a question for you and a little test to see if you are doing this right. If a stranger today who doesn't know you, has never seen you work at your organization, looked at your LinkedIn profile for 10 seconds, can they tell the exact function, level, and business problem that you're equipped to lead? Some of you might say yes, but I really, really want you to think about it for a minute. Can they know within seconds? And how you know that they know or may not know is honestly whether you're getting opportunities in your inbox or not. If you're not getting at least 2 opportunities a month in your LinkedIn inbox with opportunities that you actually care about, that means your value proposition is not clear. If you are getting DMs from recruiters in your LinkedIn inbox for roles that you don't care about, that are the opposite of what you want, it means there's a problem with the way that you're positioning yourself. Put for me a yes or a no if you pass the test. Hey, Ahmed, how's it going? Nice seeing you. Okay, let's talk about reason number 2 in terms of why you're not getting opportunities at the right level. You are letting your current title define the level of your work. Listen, titles are unreliable, especially in product. A product manager in one organization may own a feature. In another, that person may own a platform, influence a multi-year portfolio, and operate directly with executives. I'm a perfect example. When I was at one of the companies, Slalom, my actual title was solution owner, but I was actually managing an entire product. So that goes to show how titles can be misleading. In fact, I spoke with one product leader whose previous manager had been preparing them for a promotion. A new leader came in and suddenly told them that they were performing below their current level. Their capability did not collapse when the reporting line changed. The interpretation changed. So if your resume simply repeats your official title and job description, the market will anchor to the label your company gave you. Your job is to supply the evidence that shows the actual level of the work beyond the title. So here's what I want you to think about. What did I own that was larger than my title suggests? What decisions was I trusted to make? What risk was I accountable for? Who relied on my judgment? These questions are questions that I ask my clients to help us ensure that we're doing them justice when we're selling their value, when we're talking about their value, when we're marketing their value across all of their marketing collateral, whether it's your LinkedIn, your resume, even networking conversations. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed when I ask you these questions and you're not able to figure it out, that's normal because you've been entrenched in this work for years. You have been busy firefighting and delivering results. You haven't really thought about what you've been doing. You might be struggling to put words to it. Maybe you've done so much, it's so hard to articulate what you've done. I call it unconscious competence. When you're so good at what you do, it's actually hard to describe it. And this is where I come in. This is where I help my clients be able to think about these things and structure it for them so that they're not overwhelmed. Okay, I want to talk about reason number 3. You describe activity instead of level evidence. So most resumes talk about what you did. That's not how you should build a resume. Senior hiring decisions require a different answer. At what level did you do it? So I want you to use what I call the level evidence test. So a strong director or VP level story should make 5 things visible. Okay? Pay attention. This is so important. The first one is the scope. What product, portfolio, revenue, customer base, geography, budget, or organization did you affect? You need to make the scope clear. I often see that missing in the first couple of sentences under your position. Recruiters, they want to see that right off the bat. If they don't know that, if they see that you've, for example, managed a $10 million portfolio, then they understand what level you're at versus a $1 million product, right? So this is why scope is important, and it needs to be the first thing that they see. The second thing, stakes. What could the business gain or lose if you were not involved in this initiative, if you were not leading it? What would have the business gained or lost if you were not involved? Because if there's a lot of stake, then obviously your work is important and you are senior, depending on what level you're at, right? The stakes will be higher. Judgment. What decision or trade-off required your thinking? Hiring managers want to see how you navigate trade-offs, challenges. A lot of senior professionals, the way they describe what they've done, they make it sound easy. Yeah, I was able to grow the revenue by 20 million. Oh, you make it sound easy instead of talking about some of the friction that they had to overcome. Influence. Which executives, functions, customers, or teams did you align? If you were partnering with the board, with C-level, that by association helps the hiring manager understand your level. Result, what changed because you led. For example, partnered with executives during an acquisition and kept the roadmap moving sounds very generic. It sounds something that GPT helped you put together, okay? And don't even get me on a tangent with GPT and Claude because all of you are using it and all of you sound the same. And that's not how you're going to be differentiated. Here's a stronger version. Partnered with senior executives and protected long-term product direction through an acquisition around the most important customer and business priorities, restructuring work into smaller increments and enabling the organization to keep delivering while remaining ready to pivot, right? So the second version gives you a little bit more about the story. It reveals the stakes, it reveals the judgment, it reveals the influence and the operating philosophy. And that is what makes it sound like leadership rather than coordination. In fact, if I were to even go deeper, I would probably say something like, protected, like $10 million in revenue through a merger and acquisition while partnering with, C-level and the board around the highest, customer and business priorities, right? That's how I would do it. So I gave you the scope, I gave you the stakes, I gave you all of that good stuff. Okay, now if you are realizing that your current resume documents, your work, does not prove your level, I actually have a career diagnosis that I offer. In the career diagnosis, what I do is I ask you questions about what's working, what's not working, that is keeping you from achieving your goal of landing that next level role. A lot of the clients that I work with, they're targeting 200,000 to 350,000 plus roles. And so if you are in that situation where you want to get to that next level, you want to add, more to your compensation, you feel stagnant and you know that you are capable of more, but maybe you were passed on for a promotion, or, you know, maybe you weren't passed on for promotion, but you know you deserve a better environment and more challenging work, then I recommend that you book a career diagnosis call with me. If you can't find the link, you can send me a DM. But if you want to book the career diagnosis, you can just go on my profile and there is a book an appointment button. Okay, let's get into reason number 4. You are trying to fix a capability problem that you may not have. This is where accomplished professionals lose months or years. They are not getting the response they want, so they assume that they need another certification. They need to go for an MBA. They need another portfolio project, another course, another resume rewrite. In fact, one experienced leader told me she was spending 3 to 4 hours a day building a portfolio while recruiters continued approaching her about junior roles. Another had already paid $2,000 for a resume revamp. Yeah, the resume changed, but the companies responding were still random companies she did not want, and that resume didn't even represent who she was. The problem was not effort. The effort was pointed at the wrong problem. A lot of you are solving the wrong problem. And this is why I offer the career diagnosis, so that you figure out what problem you should be solving instead of wasting your time solving the wrong problem. So, if you already have 15 or 20 years of evidence, your next move may not require you to accumulate more proof. It may require you to extract, organize, and translate the proof that you already have. Because proof extraction can be more valuable than proof accumulation. You've already accumulated enough proof. You've done so much in your career, and it shouldn't be you trying to reinvent the wheel. It's almost like having a closet full of clothes that are amazing, but that closet is so cluttered that you can't find those beautiful clothes. And so you keep buying more clothes because you can't find those nice clothes. And so that's the same thing with your experience. You have so much experience, it's cluttered in your brain, it's messy, and it's very difficult for you to share it because it is hard to extract. And that's what I do with my clients. We sit down. In fact, I have some tools that make it very easy for us to help you remember your experience and organize it. And a lot of what I do with my clients is we organize their experience as stories. Okay. All right. Tell me so far, which of the reasons resonated with you the most? Reason, just plop 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. Reason number 1. So put 1 if you are marketing yourself for several possible careers at once. You're going for all kinds of different roles, different levels. Put 1 for me if you are in that category. Okay, put 2 for me if you are letting your title define your level of work. If you're so terrified of going for, let's say, another role because you never had the title, put 2 for me if you resonate with that. I am so curious. Put 3 if you know that the way you're describing what you've done isn't doing you justice and you're describing the activity instead of level of evidence. Who here, the way you talk about yourself, even though you're an executive or a leader, you talk about what you've been doing, what you've been executing, instead of what you have been owning in terms of scope, whether it's P&L ownership or even just owning a component of the product, owning decisions, talking about the stakes, talking about your judgment, talking about your influence, talking about partnering with executives. If you're not doing that, type 3. Okay. Reason number 4, if you are someone who's constantly, like, it's good to be a self-learner. It's good to be the kind of person who always wants to learn. But I'm curious, could you be overlearning? Could you be using that as a form of procrastination? Because is that really the problem that you need to fix, is learn, learn, learn? Or do you feel like you have enough to show, and maybe the issue is not necessarily becoming more competent, but becoming better at communicating your value? So put 4 for me if you are trying to fix a capability problem that you may not have through certifications, through more learning, through courses. Put 4 for me if you are in that category. I am curious. Okay, I want to talk about reason 5. Your interview answers make the work that you have done sound smaller than it was. So, one senior product leader that I worked with said something to me before an interview, and this captures it perfectly. She said, "I think I would be great at the role. I just don't know whether I will come across as the person they want to hire." Isn't that insane? She knows she's the perfect fit, but she's worried about how she's going to be perceived. To me, that is the fear. And many people label it as a confidence or executive presence problem, when the real problem is that you are trying to create the right evidence in real time. You are having trouble thinking on your feet and remembering what you've done and pulling the right examples and evidence to back it up. And that's why you are struggling with helping people see your value. It's not because you are not confident, and it's not because you lack executive presence. It's that your brain is having difficulty coming up with the examples on the fly. So what do? You start at the beginning, you explain every single detail that you've done. You take them on what I call a resume tour. You take them through a long tour of your experience, or you talk around your answer, and then maybe your mind goes blank because you're searching through 15 years of experience while the interviewer is waiting. The solution is not to memorize perfect speeches. The solution is to build a bank of 8 to 10 high quality leadership stories before the interview and map each of those stories to the level criteria the company's assessing: strategy, ambiguity, executive influence, talent, leadership, customer judgment, business outcomes, and scale. And this is an exercise that my clients love doing with me. Again, I have a framework, and I actually have a story architect GPT that helps my clients go through all of their experiences, brainstorm stories, and make sure that they have prepared stories, and then they mock them with me. And this is what helps them become prepared, confident, because at the end of the day, it's also not about knowing what you need to say, it's also how you say it. And if you just practice with GPT, it's different than practicing with someone who has coached over 1,000 people, who will tell you off the bat if what you're saying is off, and who has been in your world and understands the context. So, what you really want to do is you want to compress each story around the level evidence test: scope, stakes, judgment, influence, results. So, what people call executive presence is often the ability to identify what matters and leave out what does not matter for the interview in order to make your judgment easy to follow. As a leader, you need to be a great communicator. You need to be able to express yourself in a way that is easy for your listener to consume. And that is what creates executive presence. Okay. All right. So here's how to tell where your problem may be. If you cannot decide which roles to target, you have a clarity problem around your career direction. And that needs to be solved because that is literally the most important thing and creates a domino effect. Your positioning is off, your values unclear, recruiters won't know what you're targeting. And it's why you're feeling frustrated that you're not getting roles that excite you. If recruiters approach you about roles below your level, you likely have a positioning problem. It means the way the market sees you and how you fit in the market is disconnected from how you see yourself and what you want. And so that's something that I help my clients with in order for them to get the right opportunities. If strong fit companies rarely interview you, maybe you have a huge ambition around getting into a company like Meta or getting into a company like Amazon. Maybe you want a big name company, or maybe you're looking for a company that has a better culture. It doesn't matter if it has a big name or not. If you're not getting companies that you're excited about reaching out to you for an interview, you may have a targeting or evidence problem. If you get interviews but struggle to advance to an offer, you likely have an interview translation problem. And if you reach final rounds but do not convert those interviews into offers, inspect whether your stories demonstrate next level judgment or merely competent delivery. So don't solve all 5 problems with I need a better resume. Each problem requires a different approach. It requires a different part of the system. When I work with my clients, I give them a full end-to-end system. I help them figure out their ideal role. We ensure that their story and their brand aligns with that role that they're targeting at the next level. We make sure that the way they're speaking about themselves is different than how they've been speaking about themselves in their current role, because you're going for a bigger role. You can't speak about your experience the same way as you're speaking about your job right now. Okay. And then I also provide my clients a solid, job search strategy, because throwing things at the wall, sending your applications to the void, that's not a strategy. That's like trial and error, you know? And yes, a lot of you talk about how you don't have a network or that your network is not helping you get the opportunities that you want. And I want you to think about how a business doesn't just operate on referrals. It has clear messaging and client acquisition strategies that help them convert a stranger into a buyer. And if you can't convert a stranger who's a hiring manager, a stranger who's a recruiter, to trust that you are the right person, then you have a messaging and a positioning problem that needs to be worked on. You can't just pray that you'll know someone, okay? Yeah. So if you are a senior product leader, or you're in a product adjacent role in tech with 15 or more years of experience, and you have already decided that your next move needs to happen outside your current company, and you are targeting a senior individual contributor role, a director, VP, at a salary of 200,000 plus, I invite you to book a career diagnosis with me. So this is especially relevant if you are doing next level work but keep being passed over. Maybe your promotion path disappeared after a leadership change or a reorg. Maybe you were laid off and you don't want to take a step backward. Maybe recruiters keep bringing you roles below your level and you're sick and tired of that. Or maybe you get interviews but struggle to communicate your value at the level you know you can operate. On the call, what we're going to do is we will look at the role and level you are targeting, what the market is currently seeing, and the biggest gap between the two. If I believe that I can help you close that gap, then I will explain how. If I do not, I will tell you honestly. Okay. So let me show you how to book the call in case you are interested. Um, da, da, da. So, how you book the call is you go to my profile. Let me do a quick screen share to show you how to do that. Here we go. Okay, so to book the call, there's a button right underneath my profile. Click on it. It says book an appointment. It's going to take you to this page. Um, Click on the button, book your career diagnosis, and choose your goal. This is going to help me understand what you're trying to solve. It only takes 2 minutes to complete this. And once you do, it is going to take you to my calendar where you can book the call. All right. So that's how you book it. Okie dokie. So what I want to say here is I hope that you guys have more clarity in terms of what is working and what is not working for you. And if you enjoyed this live, if you learned a few things, it would mean a lot to me if you gave this a like. And if you want to be even more generous, comment, because it helps me, first of all, see who's actually watching. And your comments also are even more valuable than a like, especially if you can share with me something that you've learned. That would mean a lot as well. And if you need help, you can send me a DM or you can book the call with me. All right. I hope you all have a good night and thank you for listening.